Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Keegan. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave your opinions down there in the comment section. Kash Doll, Stacked. Kash Doll is a Detroit rapper who has actually been in the rap game since 2014. She managed to get a co-sign by Drake after he found her singing on Instagram and managed to bring her up. However, she managed to get a record deal in 2018 after releasing her mixtape Brat Mail on her birthday in 2018. And now she's here with her debut album, and thanks to a viewer, I'm going to be reviewing it. She's really been getting a lot of attention from some of the bigger male rappers of the 2010s, including Big Sean along with rap legend Lil Wayne, and being an opener for Meek Mill as well. But does she live up to all this potential? Let's find out as I review this album track by track. We'll start off with the singles, with there being 4 of them. The first one being Ice Me Out, which really does not leave an overall positive taste in my mouth. However, if I can say one positive thing about this song, it's that the instrumental is fantastic. It's very minimal with this distorted bass and quite punchy percussion. Kash's flow is actually decent on this track, and her voice is kind of tough, but it's way too long of a track for basic lyrical content like this and a nothing hook. It could have ended at 2 minutes, but we needed the refrain at the end to go on for a whole extra minute. In all honesty, I could pass on this one. The second single, Kitten, featuring Lil Wayne, is a much better single. I think the main positive has to do with Kash's delivery, which feels a lot more powerful and assertive. And also the dog barking sound in the background of the instrumental is a nice touch. Speaking of the instrumental, it isn't much different from Ice Me Out, but the bass just blends much better with Kash's vocals this time around. Lil Wayne's verse is nice. The instrumental changes a bit to a bit more of a tense, moody sort of beat to complement him, which is very nice. Lyrically, it's about calling these other guys dogs and how they only want the kitten, which is a nice metaphor. It works really well, and honestly, this is a fantastic song. The third single, Ready Set, featuring Big Sean, is yet another fantastic song. Big Sean opens up the track with the chorus, and with him only being on the chorus, which I think is how it should be, I don't think I could handle him on the verse. Kash Doll, however, does take the verses, and yeah, it sounds fantastic. She sounds quite similar to Iggy Azalea on this track, but instead of yapping about the haters, she's rapping about celebration, having a good time, and occasionally about her come-up, which is awesome. This is a wonderful track, and maybe one of my favorites on this album. And the fourth and final single, Mobbin', immediately catches my attention with Kash's more aggressive delivery, really just perfectly carries the entire track, and her flow also has this very dominant style to it that gives us exhilarating feeling to the track. The instrumental also helps with this higher pitched piano and occasional sirens. The chorus is just a little bit awkward with these sort of falsetto vocals between every bar just being a bit weird, but lyrically it is just about clapping at people, and the energy actually makes this track really fun and engaging. It's a great song, and 3 out of the 4 singles are actually pretty good, so let's see how the rest of the album fares. Now for the rest of the tracks. The opener, KD Diary, features a very soft piano as the opening number for this instrumental. Kash comes in a little bit later, giving a very open-hearted, vulnerable, and actually quite motivational delivery and performance. Then the bass comes in and Kash amps up her delivery to 11, and it's fantastic. However, she does kind of fade out a little bit towards the end, which has much less impact and kind of brings the track to a bit of a lull. Lyrically, though, it's mainly about the come-up and the struggles of growing up oldest of 6, just trying to make a living and supporting your family. Great opener, and very fitting too. So amazing is this deeper, sort of moody, braggadocious rap song. This instrumental is very scant and almost eerie with its higher pitched sort of synth, especially on the chorus. Kash has a nice varied flow. She's keeping beat really well and even flexes her singing voice a little bit, which is actually pretty good. Lyrically, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's just another brag rap track. It's a fitting length for one too, just barely stretching over 2 minutes, and I'm kind of vibing with it. Not a bad track at all. Paid Bitches is a little bit of a generic song. There's not too much to this one. It has much of the same things that the previous tracks have, with a heavy bass and Kash giving a dominant delivery, but this one kind of just feels a little bit tired, as in Kash doesn't seem as interested in this one. And yet again, the hook is kind of just another nothing hook. The verse is nice though, especially during certain times of it, with a very nice flow, which Kash really excels in switching it up every now and then. But no, honestly, I just don't feel the passion in this one as the other ones so far. On Sight, featuring Trey Songz, is actually a very good song, and it's mainly led by Trey's incredible chorus. His delivery is so sincere and genuine sounding, just like a bit of a calmer version of Tory Lanez. Kash again takes the verses, and she's got great melody, even when switching up the flow a lot of times. This instrumental is also quite nice. It's a bit more of an R&B focus to complement Trey's hook, but Kash is still pretty good over this too. Lyrically, it's mainly a sex song, but it's a good one. Very fitting. Crazy featuring Lou Got Cash opens up with Lou sounding like a higher pitched version of YK Osiris, but not too high pitched to the point where it's Playboy Cardi levels. However, it's still just on that level of being annoying, especially on his verse. Cash's verse, however, is nice and certainly a breath of fresh air on this track after hitting Lou. And she's also very aggressive with her delivery, emphasizing the crazy part of the title. Lyrically, it's simply about this bitch being crazy, mainly sexually crazy. Honestly, with Lou being more than half of the track, I think I'm gonna pass on it, unfortunately. Cheap Shit immediately catches my attention with this thumping bass like I'm hearing this live in a concert. And it just builds up all this hype to Cash's most aggressive delivery on this album. She's straight up angry on this chorus, and I kinda love it. I think the verses could have used a bit more anger as well, but I'll take what's given. Lyrically, it's simply about how she doesn't like cheap shit, like cheaper brands, and only wants the expensive stuff. She actually ends up turning this into a bit of an angry relationship song about how she wouldn't buy this guy cheap shit, so why do it to her? It's a good song, I like it. Doing Too Much features this bouncy, perky beat with this almost xylophone playing alongside the distorted bass intervals. It's certainly very lively and fun. I also really enjoy Cash's sassy clapback tone of delivery, which just glides effortlessly across this entire track. It may just be one of my favorite overall performances on this entire album. The verses are very short, and surprisingly enough, the chorus doesn't get annoying because of it. Lyrically, it's simply about rebutting against the haters, claiming that you're doing too much. Fun song, I like it. Bust It is the song that features my favorite vocal performance on this album. It's so varied, it's so alive, I love absolutely every single second of it, especially on the verses. It just feels like it's meant to be a club jam. Not to mention this instrumental just giving me traditional stripper anthem vibes. Lyrically, it's mainly about female empowerment, getting money yourself, and being so dominant, like women who run the world and stuff. This is definitely a standout track on this album. Great song. No Lames featuring Summer Walker, unsurprisingly, is a little bit more of an R&B centric track. Summer Walker handles the hook, and she sounds good, blending in well with the lighter percussion and smoother synths. Cash takes the verses, and I think her delivery is a little bit too aggressive for this instrumental. It just doesn't blend in as well as I think it could. Lyrically, it's about how all these guys are just the same, also known as lames, and how they don't want any of them. In all honesty, I could take this track or leave it. Excuses is a very engaging song, and it really has to do with these high-pitched chimes that echo in the background of this instrumental. It provides a very atmospheric and tense tone to the track. Cash keeps it very mellow on this track when it comes to her delivery, which only adds to the eerie feeling of it. Lyrically, it's actually quite confrontational, living with no one knowing your struggles and faking happiness, ending up with wanting to be excused just so she can deal with them herself. I really love this track. This one's the one worth checking out. Feel Something featuring Teyana Taylor has a very irresistible groove to it, more of a melodic rap style, which I really can't get enough of. Teyana singing over this track just goes so well, her sensual delivery just works. Cash actually lowers her aggro tone on this track to fit the instrumental, something No Lames certainly can't say, and is also much appreciated. Lyrically, it's strictly about wanting money at one point in your life, but then realizing that you need to feel a little bit more like love to be truly happy. Fantastic song, I love it. Coastal Rhoda, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the obligatory slower sex song on the album. This is another one where there really isn't too much to. It's got a slowed down, rather uninteresting instrumental, and Cash gives an equally uninteresting delivery. She's got little power to her voice, preferring to opt for a bit more of a sexy vocal tone, which would have worked a lot more for a song like No Lames, not really for a song like this. Lyrically, I kinda already mentioned it, it's a sex song. Not too much here, and it's probably my least favorite track on the album. And finally, the closer 100 of Us is a very fitting closer. The instrumental is rather somber, and to an extent haunting with the very elegant, yet ominously higher-pitched sliding synths along with the very scant trap percussion. Cash has a very sincere yet harsh truth sort of delivery, though the main thing with this song is the lyrics, being about the mistreatment of black people by the police, and all the gang violence going on in that sector of the population. It's kind of a harsh track, but very truthfully written. I adore this song. Overall, Kash Doll really impressed me with her debut album. I can safely say right now, this is a force in the women's rap game to look out for. Nice, tight flows, great energy, and an exhilarating, bossy performance on the mic. What else could you ask for? Sure, there may have been a few slip-ups here and there on the album, but I still had an overall pleasant experience listening to it. I'm feeling about a pretty solid 7 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.